Hello, you guys. Welcome to Black Girl in the World. If you don't know me, you will. And if you do, welcome back. It's your host, and this is the show. I am so happy to have you all here. This is an amazing show, and I'm so happy to continue this journey in 2022. I have my girlfriends with me. These are my sisters, so please be kind to them. My friends, C, Nova, and Ebony. Thank you guys for being here.
Hey!
What's up?
What's up?
I am super excited. We are doing this all in person, so bear with us, please. So I thought of this idea for maybe 2 or 3 weeks now. We will be talking about how our dads talk to us about relationships. I went on Reddit and I saw a post that spoke volumes to me, where the person said, my parents did not teach me the necessary practical skills. Like, they only taught go to school, graduate, find a job, get married. Like, it was that easy. This is not a Bash Fathers episode. No, this is what did we learn throughout our life and how is it affecting us now? So, my first question for you guys is, did your dads teach you about dating, and what did he teach us?
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. Okay, I say yeah because he taught me. He didn't really teach me about date when it comes to dating. He basically taught me what to expect from a gentleman versus somebody who's gonna treat you like anything. Which we all know, guys who pretend to be gentlemen can also treat you like anything. But the basics, when you walk in with him, he should be on the curb, or when you're walking past cars in the parking lot, you should be to the inside, wherever you're walking. He should be facing the door when you're sitting down in the restaurant, if the door is visible. Of course, opening your doors, on the first day, he probably should be paying unless you guys agree to split it. Stuff like that, but and to always have your own money if you're on a date, because you just never know, and have an escape route for just in case. But outside of that, no, these are some questions you should ask, or stuff like that. It was basically just that, and that's if I went on a date, because my dad was like, "You like boys? Oh my gosh, no, my world is ending." I'm what?
I think my dad, he kind of did the same thing as far as teaching about the basics on how a gentleman should treat you. He did go into, he always would tell me about have somebody that will give you the world type thing. And that's not just materialism, of course, but as far as going above and beyond to make you comfortable, to be there for you, to support you. And that's one thing he's always taught me. But as far as going in depth about dating advice, not really. We didn't really talk about it that much. And I don't know if it maybe because there's always this hidden thing about how dads feel about their daughters and dating. So it's just I'd be awkward to even talk about it with him sometimes. But he did, he wanted to make sure that I meet people and I'm with people that, like me for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's really it. That's really all we would talk about.
My dad taught me indirectly about dating, so we never had a conversation. It was always just me trying to read through the loopholes, I guess. Unfortunately. Let me not bash him. It's complicated, but we just never had a direct conversation about dating. It was just more so, don't settle for less. But then
that part,
but then the question is, are you the person that I should be watching to get that advice from? Right person, wrong messenger.
Right.
Right message, wrong person giving me the message. Seriously, I don't know. Yeah,
that's a real. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, because that's some real. Yeah.
Parents, especially your dads, they be telling you what not to do, what to expect. Because one thing at least my dad did for me and my cousin, he told us you guys are valuable. You're worth everything that you really want. even my goddad was like, "You gonna break hearts? I know you are." Not that you actively just out here trying to break somebody's heart, but you know they really tell you these things, but like,
and they don't be doing it
exactly.
So I can't respect you. And although this is not a bashing podcast episode, you guys, I'm just keeping it a bean. And so I just feel like if you're trying to be the example for me and you're really not an example, I have to kind of learn it on my own. So here I am, 24, still trying to figure it out.
And I think that's the main reason why I made this episode, because we're like figuring it out. And yeah, like of course you're gonna figure it out. It's a new generation, it's a new life. You're a whole different person compared to your parents and stuff. But I remember a lot of the lessons that my dad taught me, like, you know, driving me to school and stuff. He would always like have those small conversations with me in terms of like, you know, you gotta go to school, you gotta get a good job, you know, like there was never a discussion about, you know, the boys that you're gonna encounter. Like it was a small conversation.
But not like
though, because they feel as though it's, I don't want to say girly, but they just feel like it's a woman thing. They always be like, go to your mom for that. You ever hear that? Like, you go to your daddy, be like, go to your mom because I can't help you. All they want to teach you about survival things. And if your car broke down and you're in the car with your man, what he about to do?
Right.
You know? Like, stuff like that.
Because I feel like, I don't even think my dad was pro me driving. Like, I'm going to start there. Like, when I turned 15, because that's the age you're able to, you know, get your permit. My mom was on it. She's like, you can start your driving. And I'm like, we in this thing, girl. But my dad was all like, oh, yeah. But then I also feel like it was 50%. We're not bashing dads. We're not. This is just like our take.
You're speaking truth.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
What we see. So I feel like he wasn't pro me driving and making these advances. But like with my cousin, he was pro that. And so
it hits different when it's your own. Like, it always, everybody wants to
that's what they say.
Yeah.
But, like, I be feeling like the same encouragement or, like, happiness you could have for someone who's not your child, you should have for your own child.
Because even, I've witnessed my parents, you know, not to do the most, but, like, something small, for example. I haven't graduated yet. Tashika did. Tashika and my mom, you know, they're on Facebook, cool. My mother comments on her page and like show her mad love. But when it comes to me, it's like, you don't even do that. I'd be like, you fake as I don't know what. Like your friends come to your house and they'd be like, your parents cool, bro. And I'd be like, who?
Everything's chill. Everyone's
like,
smiling.
Like, I don't know that person.
Right.
I don't know that
I'd be
person.
like, the person you just saw? Oh, wow. I don't know who that is.
I ain't see that side of them before.
What Kiki Palmer say? Sorry to this man. I don't know this man.
So now that you brought up a really good point, C, about discussing like how you were shown certain relationships, like what you witnessed. That's actually the next question.
Yay.
What were you shown from witnessing their relationship? Because of course we see it. Like,
not expressing myself as much as you think I do. Like, I don't know how to communicate when it comes to the things I'm supposed to. I have a lot of patience for the wrong things. I develop some sort of dominance, but when it's time to really do it, I don't know how to do it. Like in my mind, I'm like, it sounds great, but when it's time to say it and put your foot down, now you're scared of rejection because it's a dominant thing that male just naturally have, I guess. And it's just like, I don't know, it teaches you some things. I guess the problem with me is that I found ways through the loopholes of my pain when it comes to my parents' relationships. I had no choice but to take it and just kind of make it mine. The problem is that you don't always know what you take from your parents until you see it. Like, you don't know how strong you are until it's time to be strong.
right.
Period. I'm dropping the mic next.
I feel like what I was shown, well, first off, my parents didn't even get married until I was 14. So the first 14 years of my life, like maybe like the first 5 or 6, I wanted my parents to get married. But like when I noticed it wasn't happening then, I sorry for the dead pause.
No, it's fine.
I was just kind of like, forget it. I kind of like my life like this. But it was also weird because looking back, I saw like looking back, what I see now, my dad didn't always defend me when I wanted him to.
Yes.
Versus when I went back home to my mom, she was like, even though she was strict, especially during the school year, she was still pretty cool as a parent. And like all the like protection that I really got was from her. So it's like, looking at your relationship, if they were showing me something, it's for the first part of your life, pretty much dump everything on the woman and keep moving, i.e. woman being my mom. And then come out of nowhere, let this man propose to you. And my mom ironically said yes. I didn't expect her to. But yeah, and like now that they're married, I still look at it and I'm just like, I don't want to date anybody like you. I don't want a relationship like this. Like,
They
not
swear.
even funny.
Yeah.
They
like,
swear they
we're
on
not-
top.
No, it's not even that they claim that they're on top, but it's like when you look at it, like you gotta even though we say it's just to make sure you don't ever end up like their relationship, you gotta make sure you making them proactive decisions. Because one thing my mama said is, one thing we do now in our 20s, if we don't correct the pattern, it's gonna follow us to when we're married.
It's true. And so
That's true.
I even told you I got laughed at when I told them I was breaking cycles. Like what is that?
Because you're
like,
not supposed to
yeah.
say that though.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
You
You're not
guys
supposed to tell the
definitely have
people
to
you
do
breaking
it.
it from.
I think that's what I realized after the fact. So I was
Yeah.
just like, now I got to kind of not communicate with the people that I know are giving me bad advice, I guess. Like, I live with my parents. It's kind of like
right.
you live with both of your parents and you still don't have a say-so. I don't understand that. I'm learning. You're trying to tell me to learn from you and watch you, but you're not even teaching me. You're not even being the example. So it's like, who do you go to?
Right.
Or how do I not go against my parents without being disrespectful or letting them know, like, you are not the idea that you think you are? Like, what you're trying to show me is, they're trying to be like my bully before someone else does, if that makes sense. It's like they want to show me the opposite on purpose.
Right.
They're not trying to show me the romance and the kitty puppy love. They want to show me the hardcore stuff so I know what not to do. And I feel like that's really
it's like
flipping.
So
it's a flipping
sad.
weird.
And I'm like, this is not a mom's episode, but like when it came on to my mom, like especially like talking to her about relationship dynamics, because honestly, I'm not gonna say I'm afraid of speaking to my dad on things, but I know that like he's at a stop point. Like I'm driving past him and I just see him stopping at the stoplight, so I don't even like continue having certain conversations with him, asking him certain questions, because his mind is not
The mind
there.
goes left, yes.
So like when I speak to my mom about certain stuff, like she's like, when I'm talking to her about the romance, the intimacy, the stuff that I never really like seen even them have, she's just kind of like, oh, be careful, like, because this may happen now, but this will, and it's just
they
like,
always try to put
why can't you just let me enjoy
enjoy
my
it?
time,
Exactly.
Because it's like what they project is what they've already been through, but it's like,
That's
don't
one
get me
person.
wrong.
Yeah.
We not going to discredit that you've been through stuff.
But that's not what I'm going
But
through.
That's not what I'm
give
That's not my
me
life
some of the
right now.
positivity.
Right.
And I think that's why, you're not right. This isn't a mom's, you're right, this isn't a mom's episode. But I think that's why I've like stopped talking to my mom a lot. Like one thing about our friendship dynamic, Tosh probably talks to her mom the most here. And me, I could probably say I talk to my mom the least in this group. Yeah, so
the question, so the previous question was about like what like looking at your dad, like what their relationship. So, okay, I can honestly say that well, my parents, they got married 10 years before I was born. They've been married for a long time, and honestly, I actually do look up to the way how my dad treats my mother. He's always been a hard worker. They do argue, but I mean, who doesn't? They do have arguments, but one thing that I always noticed and one thing I always like took from them, and mind you, I didn't really pay attention to when I was younger because I'm like, wasn't really looking at that, being younger. But then when I started getting in relationships, I always looked at how, they would argue, they would have like their space time, take a little time. And then they will always talk. I noticed they always have a talk in the morning. They talk to each other in the morning. That's one thing that I always like looked at. But the downside of it's not necessarily from my father or my mother, but like because of these things that I take away, like for like a relationship, how I want to be treated in a relationship, people nowadays think that they're like, oh, you want a fantasy, basically. Because people, I guess, like, you know, marriage and being able to be married to somebody for so long and like having somebody that you can communicate with despite like disagreements is something that not a lot of people think can happen.
It's
nowadays.
true.
And they'll be like, oh, you looking for a fantasy, like, you know,
like it's not really
it's
gonna
a
happen.
fantasy
Kind of like
to
still
them.
burst your
Yeah.
bubble. You know, I'm just like, just because it didn't happen to you don't mean it's not gonna happen to me.
And I feel like it's definitely possible because I definitely do look up to how my dad, now he's not perfect, no, and there's things that he can definitely, like, because when they argue, I know definitely there's things that he can, you know, do differently, but as a whole, like, he's been a very good, like, somebody that I look up to and like, dang, that's how I want to be treated.
But like you say, like, yeah, you're right. And honestly, our parents still have, like, even though we pointed out like some of the negatives, they still have like really good qualities that
the hard part is finding them.
Right.
You have to.
And
it's
so,
like a needle in the haystack when it comes
for
to
me. It's like my dad, he'll try to stay up as long as he can for like either me or my mom when we're out. But like if not, he gonna set the alarm. He always texts me, "Are you coming home?" I'm like, "Nah, Grandpa." He be like, "Oh, okay. Are you coming home tonight?" Like, yeah. He be like, "Oh, all right." I put the alarm on. I'm like, all right. But like, if it's just one of those things where, if I was like really in a bind, I could call my dad. It wouldn't matter if I'm all the way in California. He gonna find a way to get to me.
And I wanna say that. I wanna say something about that.
And I appreciate that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I appreciate that quality.
That made me just think about how, I want to always go to my dad, but sometimes my mom, because she has some issues with him on certain things that I want to ask for, she will not let me ask him. And I'm just like, so how am I supposed to do this? Like, how am I supposed to maneuver around getting things from a closed mouth don't get fed? So you trying to stop me from speaking because of your situation. Now I'm thinking it's going to happen to me. Now just be quiet.
Right.
And also to say earlier, just to show some grace here, I will gladly say that my dad have held down the house. Like when it comes to fixing things and paying bills and, you know, like being the man of the house and just providing, being a provider. Like that's hard. When times are rough, can your husband pick up the bills?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's something I'll say that I'm happy that he doesn't.
Like, no cap. This is probably gonna come up next, but my person knows that if we progress to the point where we're married, because we don't just date just to be dating, like we date with the future of marriage because that's what we want. He knows I'm gonna be the wife that's like, thanks for paying for the bills. Also, here's my hand. Put some money in it. Nah, like I intend on being one of those wives. Like, go ask your father for some money. Let's both ask him. Like,
let's do it together.
Yeah, the taking care thing for sure.
I definitely believe, like, with seeing my parents, I don't want a relationship like that. No disrespect to them, but I do know that both of my parents have like the strong individualities where I do admire that. They're both in their ways of saying, this is what I want, and they both know what they want, and they're very strong about it. Like, they have very strong opinions, and I realize sometimes I'll be swaying my opinions, they're swaying stuff, so it's just seeing them, I'm like, wow, they're actually really good at being themselves and saying, this is who I am, so I'm gonna keep on being who I am. And with my dad, like, he's also a provider. Like, if it wasn't for him, like, this house would not be what this house would be. You know, he's paying the bills. He's making sure everybody's, you know, okay. He's fixing things. Like, the man is a fixer. He's a mechanic, and he be fixing. And just like what Nova was saying, like, I can call my dad and he'll come like wherever I am, and he'll make sure like I'm okay. He'll stay up, make sure I'm good. If I'm coming in the house, he'll unlock the door for me, and then if everybody's in the house, he'll lock it. So I do appreciate those things because I realize that you're a pretty good dad in aspects like that, and I wouldn't trade you for another dad. So now that we've established seeing their relationships, what do you notice in your own relationships? Like maybe something that you see your dad do that you do in your own relationships.
Now, question: is it what we do, or like what we similarities between our person and our dad? Or both?
Both. So one, in terms of how you, like, of course you see your dad.
Yeah.
And maybe you have certain tendencies that your dad has that you realize you see in yourself, and you also see in your partner.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I definitely do see. I will say that I see similarities between, and one thing that I can really say is, it's kind of one thing that I will see the similarity with my person and my dad is this sense of I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you know how, like, you know, when, you know, your boo, like, gets on, not get on you, but, you know, when they, like, hold you accountable for things because, like, they want you to, like, do better. So my whole thing is with saving right now. So one thing that, you know, he be doing is, like, I'll say, oh, I got something, like, you know, I got something in the mail, or I got something on a package coming. He'd be like, you know what needs to be coming? Some savings. And he, like, literally, like, one thing I appreciate is that he will. But he will literally, like, sit there with me, kind of like my dad has always done when it came to, like, projects or anything. My dad has always been, like, really my number one supporter besides my mom. And he would be like, oh, we gotta get these materials for it. Like, you know, he'll like, what do you need? I'm gonna help you, you know. And that's one thing that I see reflected in, you know, this relationship. And I'm like, I noticed that, and I was like, I really appreciate that, because I like somebody that not only just supports you, but goes above and beyond to support you. Like, I really like that.
Right.
With myself, communication. Because one thing my dad has always done with my mom is that if there's any problem, he'd be like, let's sit down and talk about it. And sometimes even when my mom is like hesitant, she don't want to talk about it right now, I'd be like, that's fine. We're going to talk about it though. And that's one thing that I've grown to like do over the years. So I started to do that with like my recent like relationships, because I was like, communication is really important. I shouldn't silence myself because I don't want to have conflict, or I don't want to feel like arguing, because communication is necessary. So those are definitely two things that I've picked up about my dad that I see currently with what I got going on.
See, I have conditioned myself to not look into anything of him to bring it to my relationship. I have totally did that, and I can't even answer this question how I want to. I can say that the only thing that I don't know. I mean, yeah, I can't answer that. I wish that I can find something to say I bring into it, but honestly, maybe I bring in something from him that I don't even know about. So that's just my answer on that.
Let's circle back to me.
Okay. What I realized is that my dad is very friendly. He's a very friendly man. Every time you meet him, he smiles. he smiles all the time. And even when he's like sad or like awkward, I realized that I've brought awkwardness to my relationships. I've brought friendliness. Like, I'm willing to pull myself to make sure that my friends and my family is okay, because my dad does it a lot, and he does it for a certain purpose. He would always tell me, like, I'm really doing this so that God is able to bless, you know, my generation and be able to help you. So if you see Tashika like stranded, the person that I helped will help her.
Right.
So I always thought that was a really nice thing to do, and I want to do the same for my children. Like, you got to be nice to people, because if you're stranded, no one's going to help you if you haven't helped anybody.
Exactly.
So I think I bring that.
You know that meme? It's funny because it's like, you got to be nice to people because you don't know what they're going through. This one tickles me, and it's like, yeah, be nice to people because you don't know the battles that they're facing. Like right now, my tummy hurts.
Oh my God.
Takes me out. But you know, it's true. Like, you really have to be nice to people. Like, it just Just be like, what's
Yeah.
up? It doesn't hurt.
It does
It's
not
like
hurt.
you gotta be really nice because you really never know what someone's going through. They may have a bad day, and just for you to say, "Oh, like Happy New Year," like I hope your day's going well. It's like, wow, my day has not been going well. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Even to just like smile at somebody or like, you know, just tell people on the street, how you doing? Like, you know, it doesn't
Just
hurt.
don't tell anybody to smile, because
Don't tell nobody to smile.
they gonna look at
Please
you with a
don't.
straight face.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Primarily women.
Yeah.
because it's I don't know something about
But
that.
like
Something about
greeting
that
and
ain't right.
opening doors, like the basics, they're like, you don't have to be, you know.
Exactly.
But I don't think, like, I think I kind of do some of the opposite of my dad in my relationship. Like, well, honestly, that's because my person, like, especially encourages it. Like, we're on the same page. When it comes to communicating, like, the issue or problem, we're going to talk about it. Like, all jokes aside, we're going to be like, yes, so this is a no. But what I will say is I think I've seen, like, some of my mom more than my dad in, like, the first part of my relationship. Because I was going on a tangent, and my person, so gentle, so respectful, very calm voice, was like, "Now, did I do that to you?" And immediately, like, that shut every ounce of, I don't know, my tangent was done. I was like, you know what, you're right. And because my mom, she's, okay, this isn't a mom's episode, but so you get what I'm saying. You have two different parents, right? My mom is pretty much the primary parent you go to for advice before you find yourself in a pickle, after you found yourself in a pickle. Like, the one who's gonna give you the reality, she's still gonna be the cool parent. She's still gonna, like, she's that parent.
Yeah.
Then you have your secondary parent who acts like a secondary parent.
Yeah.
And you ask them something, and the first thing they respond is, "Did you ask your mom?" I'm used to my mom being like,
the spokesperson.
Right.
yeah, being the forerunner, the front runner, because my dad doesn't. Like, I'm used to asking my dad a question. It could be simple as, "What you doing for dinner?" "Oh, I don't know. What are you doing for dinner?" "What'd you do today, Dad?" "Why are you asking me so many questions? Like, why are you, like, what's it to you?"
Yeah.
But in turn, you'd be asking everybody these same questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, my mom, she might ask you where you going and be like, "Oh, I'm going somewhere." Like, oh, now you shying away. Somebody's gripped you by your Adam's apple. Are you serious? So, like, in the very first part of my relationship, I found myself, it was one conversation, very serious, talking to my person like that. Like, basically, like, what are you talking about? Like, da 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 da. And he's like, "I'm gonna tell you right now, that's not how you talking to me."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You can talk to me, but not like that." And I'm like, yeah, okay.
And that's the thing for sure. Like
I think that falls under the submission tip. There's men who can tell you what to do, and then there's men who can't tell you what to do.
And you know,
And my dad falls under, for me, one of those guys who can't tell you what to do. My man can tell you what to do.
right.
like, you know what I just thought about too is that the involvement of him happening so late. They try to act like they were there the whole time helping you and stuff, but they try to, no, you really wasn't. You want to come through and give me fatherly advice, and I'm like, where was this when I was 15? That just really hit me. I just had to say that. Like, where were you at? You know, now you want to just jump in and try to give me advice, and no, when it's really, 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 really bad, that's when you want to show up. It was bad before it even started, and you never was there.
Because you're really deep in your bag now about figuring stuff out yourself because you didn't have, you didn't.
Right.
I never acknowledged those things. I never wanted to come off disrespectful to them. Because as we're having this conversation, I don't even know how to go about, like, I'm not bashing him, but I kind of have to. I'm kind of...
You're telling your truth.
I'm telling my truth. I have to. You cannot sit here and tell me that, like, you was just being... Again... Father versus dad is always going to be a thing, everybody can't be a freaking dad. You made me, but you made me not my mind. You know, like you said, I go to my mom for everything. My mom has always been the spokesperson for the both of us.
Yep.
But truthfully, she can't do it all either. So I have to open
That
my
part.
mouth.
Yeah.
She can't do it all.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
we
my
wear
mom-
that cap with pride, you know?
My mom would get overwhelmed and just be like, look, I'm in this office for the day. Don't ask me for nothing. I don't care what you do. Talk to your father for everything. She shut the door, lock it, turn on whatever she's about to watch. I knew not to bother her. I go to my dad. So, Dad, can I go to lunch with my friend? Did you ask your mom? My mom told me to ask you. Oh, I don't know. What does your
My
mom,
dad does that
what
too.
does your mom usually say? She usually knows what friend I'm referring to.
Right.
Oh, who's your friend? Like, the man be so confused. He didn't even know he had to become a parent real quick.
Right.
So it's
Ooh.
No,
Yeah,
it's true.
like-
It's really
Because
true.
biologically you're my father, but are
And
you
you-
really
and
a
you-
father?
And it's
Yeah.
like, you right. Like, your dad, my dad is definitely a dad. Like, don't get me wrong. The
Yeah.
dad jokes, the reliving his memories, all that stuff. Like, he's really there for you. He's a faithful guy. Like, one thing I will say about my dad is he's there.
Yeah.
He's
my
present.
dad's- yeah,
He's
my
gonna
dad's
show up
present.
to every activity you've
Yep.
got. Whatever like your little dream is, he gonna listen to you rant about it. My dad will listen. You can talk to him for 2 hours. He may be watching TV for them 2 hours, but he gonna listen,
He gonna
to
listen.
you.
Yeah.
That's
But
crazy.
at a certain point, it's like, when do you give me active
Structure.
like
Where's the structure?
Guidance.
feedback?
Yeah,
Yeah, give me
guidance.
something with substance.
Yeah.
And so, like, my mom, she'll do that. She's to the point where if I tell her something, she's like, do you want me to listen, just to listen, so you
Yeah.
have a sounding board, or like, do you want me to respond?
See, that sounds like you have parents that are willing to meet you halfway to try to figure things out.
On some
before you lose
things.
them. Right?
On
some
On
things.
some things, that's great. But my dad, like, nope, it's a no go for him. I think even this morning we were talking about. I had to kind of kiss his butt about politics this morning, and so I realized, like, why am I doing this to myself again? I'm having this conversation I don't want to have just to talk to you.
Yeah.
Then the topic of him, no, that's the topic. What he said was like, you know, when you get married, da da da. I'm like, pause. You talking about me getting married, and you gonna walk me down the aisle, but it's also like, where
We have
would
to do the work.
yeah, where was the involvement at? Where were you at trying
Right.
to big me up in my relationship
Yeah.
and make sure it's right for me and where I'm going? And not me coming back home to report something to you and tell you this is what this guy did to me. Because I
Right.
know you don't want to hear outside of what you know. That's
Right.
just how he is. But I also feel like, don't pick and choose when you want to be a dad. Like, don't pick and choose where it benefits you and just slide in there and
But
be
I
like,
feel
see,
like
you good?
it's really
Yeah,
not
how
fair.
did your lunch date go today? I don't want to hear that.
I feel like overall, dads do that in general. Pick and choose when they, like, I feel like even from the beginning of a woman being pregnant, I feel like they got to pick and choose when they want to be active, when they want to be a dad versus a father, when they want to be, because, like, for me, a dad is like, you know, that's your dad. Like, father, this is just the title that you got because, you know,
Yeah.
you helped produce me. But
to be a dad.
you know, but to be a dad, so yeah, I feel like from initial that they kind of get to pick and choose, whereas
yeah.
you have these peculiar cases where moms ain't moms, but
Yeah.
you have women become mom
They're not going to walk a
immediately.
mile in our shoes as far as being a parent. I will always say that. Like, as much as moms, you know, moms are moms. Like, your
But
mama,
this is my opinion. Just FYI, this is my opinion. It's not fact. There we go. Because, you know, people will try to cancel
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That's very true.
That's very true. I just feel like it's a lot. It's an umbrella thing that people are just looking at. They don't go deep into it. I'm not even. We talking about before you're 18. I feel like people only focus about before 18.
Because what
you know
happens after
shit.
that? Because I feel like even after 18, it's really a big. That
They
young
expect you
adult
to-
phase is where you do still need a lot of guidance.
You do need a lot of guidance, and you need nothing beats love more than your parents' love. Your parents' love will always be something that you just wanna just have, and it just sucks when you just can't get it from them. And the bad part is, like I said, I'm not supposed to be bashing nobody. I'm not supposed to be bashing.
You're not bashing.
You're not bashing,
but
you're
it's your
telling your
truth.
Yeah, you're
It's
speaking
just,
your truth.
it's just because you realize, like, okay, my mom always tried to throw the Bible out when it benefits her. I can't stand it. But it's always like, basically, oh Lord, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Honor your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Honor your parents. Honor your parents. Honor your parents. But it's like, are you doing anything for me to honor you by? You know, you want me to honor you because what? You have a title of mommy and daddy.
There are parents like that. They're not doing like they literally like at a certain. I've seen it where like at 18 they like get into this phase where it's like, okay, like you're on your own, and I mean on your own like completely, like it's like no advice given anymore.
Yeah, they just wipe their hands from you,
and it sucks. You know, like everybody's different, but you know, like in those cases where you know they kind of act like distant from you,
right?
After you know get grown per se.
I mean, that's how it is for me. I told you earlier, like I'm raising myself. My mom don't know how to do this either. My dad, he doesn't know how to do this. He's just flowing with it just like I am. The bad part is, as we all say this, we have to give them some sort of grace. But it also sucks because it's like, do you even deserve me giving you any grace? But it also sucks because that's your parents.
It's just really,
like they made you.
It's just so like it's just really sad because I think like people really don't understand like a lot of parents are not teaching their kids about dating.
Yeah.
And they aren't teaching them they're teaching them survival skills. But we have to ask ourselves, did our parents ever even ask themselves what they want in a partner? Like,
yeah,
they did, but they settled back then.
Because it's like a lot of our people like are just providers. Like I realized that my dad has always just been a provider, very independent dude, just providing. The man don't share about his emotions and his feelings and how's your day? Like there isn't any like discussion on that. No verbal I love yous. Like he's never been taught that. And it's kind of hard to process your own relationships because here I am being independent and just seeing this guy try to provide or do stuff for me. I'm like, whoa, my daddy do that, but I've been taught to be independent. So how can I even let you run the house if I've been taught by my father to run a house? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of hard because it's like there are guys who are going to be like, okay, let me do some things, but I'm like, I'm trying hard to, but I can't because I've always been independent. I'm driving my own car. I'm doing my own thing. I have my own bills to pay. Like, I can't just give all of that up. What else do I have?
Yeah.
Because that's what my dad taught me. It's really frustrating to see that because you're not really taught being gentle if you want to be gentle.
I'm telling you,
to express your emotions. My father, like when I asked him, "Are you sure?" Like, and I think that's why some guys are so confused with like you asking like for reassurance or asking additional questions to make sure everything's all good. Because my father, like, he'll get upset with me, and if I ask him, "Are you sure?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Same.
Like that's very frustrating. Like, yes, are you sure?
Right.
When the dude's talking to me, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure.
Is that so hard to believe them asking you, are you sure?
You know what I mean?
You know
It's
where
like,
that comes from? That comes from the I don't have a word for it, but basically just being on top of everything, so you feel like you always just gotta get it together. So if someone catches you at the most vulnerable part, you're like, oh shoot, they're catching me out of character. Like, you're not out of character. It's just, it always been there. You just, I don't know, you're distracting yourself with so much stuff to not be caught lacking, I guess.
Right.
But you know what's crazy though? And I just like was thinking about like what you just said, what you guys just said. One thing that I didn't even notice is a lot of times, like even like because my dad like he does like when it comes to communicating, he does that with not only just my mom but me as well, because I know a lot of times me when I'm like overwhelmed and stuff, I shut down. I don't always want to talk in the moment about like, you know, how I'm feeling, but it's like sometimes he'll be like pushing it, not like pressuring me or anything, but he's the one that's like initiating, because he'll be like, something's wrong with you, and like communicating, and I've never really seen that from a guy before, like, you know, like before like paying attention to my dad. So now that I'm like experiencing that outside of him, I was like, whoa, guys do this. Guys are open and vulnerable, but he also taught me to be vulnerable with emotion. So it's just like it's a weird thing to see. My dad.
Oh, okay. I was a little confused.
Yeah. And I was like,
hold on. So your dad taught you how to be vulnerable?
To be vulnerable and to be more open. I was surprised. And nothing I really
Very
paid
nice.
paid attention to.
Yeah, it's
And I was
very
like,
nice.
but it's weird because it's like at the same time, he's taught me this, but sometimes I see in him that he doesn't always. If that makes sense.
Cause they gotta be strong for you.
Yeah, like sometimes he'll hide stuff to the point where like
You know it's there.
you know it's there. Like I even remember my mom told me about it was way before I was born about how, you know, his my grandfather passed away. He held it in because he had to be strong for everybody else. That he held his emotions in until he caught hives. He got hives. Like, so it was until a physical sense. I was like, you know, you tell me so much, but it's just like, why are you not applying it with yourself? But maybe it's a thing of he feels he has to be strong
like
for everybody else.
Parents, like, they get into, it's like when you get old, like old people, it's a habit that they're not even gonna break at this point. I feel like one of the, it's like with that with our parents, like they do this because that's how they have to live at this point. Like that's the habit they've formed.
Yeah.
But they want to see us form better habits and do better. So it's like, take my advice, even though I'm not doing this, obviously, and do this with your life because you'll probably be a bit happier.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's how I see it.
Yeah.
It's really it's such an interesting, like, as we're talking about this, and I've been on my phone just like asking people one particular question of, did your parents teach you about dating? And so far people have said nothing. Like, my parents have not really taught me what's dating like, and it's not like what dating is in this generation because we all have different like issues and dynamics going on.
Yeah.
But we should also acknowledge that there are some things that some guys do that should you tolerate this, some women do that you should tolerate this. Like, what does your partner do that you feel like is okay for you, kind of thing?
Yeah.
But in the final question of things, if you were a dad, what would you teach your kids about dating?
I can't answer that. Yes, I
You know
can.
what?
Yes, I can answer that.
Because we're gonna be parents.
Hold on,
one
hold
day,
on.
You know?
That's true.
If I was a father,
Mm-hmm.
what would I teach my child about dating?
Yeah.
From my perspective.
Yeah.
Now, what? All I'm sorry, but all I can think about is motherly, you know, I don't know what I'm looking for. I can't think about from a dad's perspective because naturally I just feel like dads are never there.
I have one thing, and I think it
Damn.
sums up if I was a dad. It would be actually maybe two things. One is to know what you want, and this is outside of like it's so many things that can be like in that statement, like knowing what you want, how you want somebody to treat you, knowing what you want as far as like you know when you get in a relationship, you know everybody will decide how taking care of things like when you have a household and financially where you want to be, knowing what you want in that, knowing yourself and knowing that treating your partner 50-50, treating your partner like how they treat you
90-10. It's like
90-10. And also like what you were saying earlier is to be kind. I think that's a hidden thing that I feel like now a lot of people feel like being like nice and being kind and stuff. I know there's a difference between being nice and being kind, but with all those things that they feel like it's a weakness now, it's like a lost like art, and it's just like a lot of times all I see now is people kind of being mean to their own partners. Like I'm like, do you even like this?
But you know
person?
what though? Like even I see now, a lot of men are being vulnerable. Vulnerability with them is becoming more out there, and sometimes I guess what I'm trying to say is they do it behind closed doors. They're all like they want to be a baby behind closed doors, but out there they're just like, yeah, I'm a G, I got this. It's just like, for what? I really feel bad that I can't seem to give you an answer for the question because I don't know. What would I tell my child? Be a dude.
Let's maybe I guess like reevaluate the question.
Okay.
What do you want? What do you wish your dad told you about dating? Like, what do you wish he really sat you down and said, listen, this is what's going
I
to
wish
happen.
he told me about
or this is
heartbreaks.
what
I
you
wish he
should-
told me to.
I don't really think I care about that, like the heartbreak part, because that's gonna come regardless of the amount of advice somebody
It's gonna come,
could
but I'd rather
give
than
you.
tell me that it's
Yeah.
gonna come.
But like maybe, I guess the best thing he could have did to like fully prepare me was like, guys have, you know what, he ain't even gonna admit this because it's probably true for him too, but guys have weak egos.
Yeah.
And even though they look at us as the most emotional, they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of what you do, you shouldn't have to cater to the male ego,
Mm-hmm.
but you do stroke it a little bit to get what you want out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, but it's true in a sense. And you don't, and to be honest, you don't have to do this. You don't have to stroke their ego at in any way.
Right.
But at some point, you realize you have to play it cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as women, you may have a bunch of options, but them knowing that, especially nowadays, they just want to call you all types of unscrupulous things.
Yeah.
But just play it really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish my dad would have told me more about attachment. And like I'm trying to like had to learn on my own, but I wish like could have a heads up is that people are temporary.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter like how good you think people's feelings can change. So if like I just wish he would have like told me more about like not getting too attached to people and stuff like that, and learning to like be more independent outside of like the financial thing, but like having my own independence is like you don't necessarily need this person to feel complete.
You know what? I'm actually glad you said that, and I'm gonna go opposite with it. They say to not be attached, but you realize when you grow up like that, and this is on me, I feel like now I need people, and I don't know how to need them. Because I've been taught to not get attached to people, and I'm so used to letting go. I'm so used to wondering, like, I'm not gonna be here for a long time, so let's just do this now, and it's just like now I don't know how to do this.
I feel like there should always be a balance. I don't know.
It's a balance. Like, okay, at some point he told me to stop hugging people, and he did that to not get me attached. And then now I'm just like, so how do you get attached? When it's time to really get attached to somebody, how do you get attached to them?
Like to show like like with affection and stuff, or is it like
I mean, we can even take it to a friendship level. I actually got rid of so many friends because of the fact that I don't get attached to people. I let people go real quick. I don't care. But although that's trauma speaking, you know what I'm saying? And I know in reality, like, you need friends, you need people around you, but your parents telling you don't get attached to people, that's kind of pushing it, don't you think?
Yeah. Because my dad tried to teach me that, like, hey, I'm gonna be gone one day, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
And it's like, that's not really, I mean, yeah, you're gonna be gone one day, but
why
that
put that in my
shouldn't, like,
head?
yeah, like, why should that ruin our relationship to be closer?
Yeah, okay,
Exactly.
there we go.
Yeah.
I be feeling like, okay, so this situation happened in our friend group, and I left heated, not gonna lie. And not this friend group, a different friend group. I left heated, and like our friend was basically like, don't leave like this, something could happen. Let me tell you something. I've made my peace with this statement, so just know when I say it, I mean it in all seriousness. Stop acting like just because something could possibly happen is the reason why I need to be close to you or mend something. No!
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you. Bless
Thank you. But no, I'm not doing that. Like, if I'm mad, I'm mad. I'll get over it when I'm good and ready to get over it. And also, I feel like people saying that to you, it's a way of like rushing you and your emotions along from like feeling what a person actually did to like get you that way.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, okay, you've pissed me off. Remember, I could die in my sleep. You wouldn't talk to me.
I could die in my sleep. Yo.
Don't try to make me feel bad because you could die in your sleep and I could never.
Exactly.
I was still mad. I still love you, but I'm still mad. You can't like. Just because you're ready for me to move on from a situation doesn't mean I've fully gotten there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Yeah.
It sucks because, you know, it just sucks to know that everybody's not like you. Everybody don't think like you. Now, it's cool that you can find a way to just, you know, let it be known. Okay, for example, Tashika, real quick. Tashika taught people how to say I love you. Them people was not saying I love you before. It took for her to be like, let's do this together. I got this. I'm going to hold your hand. We're going to walk through this. But maybe one day she's just going to be like, I can't do this no more. Like, you taking too long to come around, and I don't know what it's going to take for you to understand that I'm loving you enough, but I can't do it no more.
It's like
it's pitiful.
It's like our one friend we have, Minjaj. It's like Minjaj. That's what I call her.
Yeah.
And Tasha's like, I love you, and Minjaj is like, all right.
She would really say that. She'd be like, okay.
For real. Like,
cool.
I was probably the same way when I met Tosh. Actually, when everybody met me, I'm not a touchable person. Actually, I'm not a touchable person to anybody outside of my friends and family. But it still comes with their limits. But like, I wasn't a touchable person. I also didn't do the whole, oh my gosh, I love you, friend. So when people were saying it to me, I was like, nice. All right. Or like, they would come up, but like, they would just stand and smile in my face because they didn't think they could hug me or anything like that, which was true. They couldn't at that point in time. Like, don't touch me. But like, eventually Tosh was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And I was like, do what? This girl hugs me and everybody's looking at her and I'm just sitting there like, you know what? Because she's the nicest person I probably have ever met, I'm gonna let this slide. I've been letting it slide for about a good couple years at this point. But yeah, I forgot how I got on that.
I don't know how I just hugged you like that. I just thought you needed it.
Yeah.
Just like, I just feel the energy. It's very kind. So I think you
And that's the thing. I am kind.
And real quick, so you said earlier, you know, your dad kind of taught you how to share that. And so I'm grateful that you got that way. You know, I'm not going to hold you. Kind of make me feel like crap. Not that you were kind.
Not funny,
I know the way I said it. Not that you were kind would make me feel like crap. Is to know that it's possible and I don't feel like I can get there. That's the part that hurts. So it's like, you know, you can learn from your friends. You know, she can always pass it on. It's just like, are you gonna do it?
Like, I had to hug C today. She needed a hug. I had to hug her. Cause we don't be like, okay, our friendship breakdown. Let's go. Taj is probably the glue of this friendship. Like, if anything, she the glue. Now, do I reach out to everybody on my own? Yeah, because we have our own relationship. But like, Tosh is the mom. She's not the mom.
I feel like
she's the auntie. There you go. Tosh is the auntie of the group. We all go to Auntie Tosh, and we just be like, yeah. So this is what's going on. Even though everybody else is like cousins in the group, we like, yeah, this is my sister, this is my cousin.
You're my cousin.
They gonna find out later. I'm gonna just tell Auntie first. Like, but yeah, like, you know, I be feeling like our friendship. Me and Tosh, we overly goofy. Ebony is like, I'm gonna giggle with y'all. And C is like, yeah. I don't see what's funny. You girls are weird. But you're still my sisters. I love you.
She might giggle a little bit though.
She'll smile. Very weird energy. Nah, but these are the homies for real.
But real quick,
but lifers.
Real quick, I like 3 things that I really wish that my dad taught me, or that I want to, like, you know, teach my kids if I was the dad, if I was the mom, you know. One, and my aunt taught me this recently, likes and values are 2 different things. Because you can like something and not like it anymore, but you have to be with a person that y'all both value similar things so that y'all can ride the wave easier. And just find someone who values family, who values, you know, if you're valuing money too, find somebody that values money, find someone that values love and appreciation and affection, just value all those things, who will able to love you in your love language. The second one, what was the second one? The second one, I really wish that my dad showed happiness in terms of my relationships, like I want you to be able to be excited for me,
that's it.
and I want to be excited for my kids. You know, they sit down, they cheesing. I'm like, what are you cheesing about? And they just express to me that this is what's going on, and of course I'm gonna share with them, like, be careful, you know, this, that, and the third. But I want to show genuine interest, like, okay, so what he do or what they do, like, you know what I mean? So I want to be excited for them. I don't remember the third thing exactly, but I think the third thing would have been to also teach them vulnerability as well. Like, it's okay to provide reassurance and to also ask for reassurance. Reassurance is not a bad thing. Reassurance does not make you weak, and it does not make you seem like you don't know what you're doing. But everybody needs a little reassurance every now and again, because a lot of people don't realize that you can basically get reassurance everywhere. My boss has even taught me reassurance, like saying, you're doing a good job. Like, you have to have some incentive to continue forward with stuff. So I feel like people forget that it is a good thing to have reassurance to make you keep on going. Because if you're in a relationship with somebody and your partner, like, you do a lot of things for your partner, they don't say thank you, they just take whatever, they don't say anything to you, they're just in that relationship with you, would you even continue being in that relationship and wanting to do things for them if they're not reassuring you that you're doing a good job? That's not fair to you, and that's not fair to them either. So I feel like those are just like maybe the main things that I thought about, where it's like, I wish he would have taught me that, so maybe I wouldn't have gotten as heartbroken as like that, but I think that it would have been nice to really know, so I can prep myself, so that a lot of those wastemans could not approach me the way they did and show their emotionally unavailable side, so that I know that I should not be looking for an emotionally unavailable man. We will discuss that in another episode, because I do want to talk about how emotionally unavailable men are in the dating pool.
That's gonna be a good one.
So
I want to be there for that.
I gotta be there for that one.
Because they're in the pool, they're swimming, and they're having a good old time riding the slide with the rest of us. And I think we should talk about that. But this is the show. This is like maybe the longest episode I've had. And I'm really excited because I'm hoping that you guys tune in and respond to, you know, like the questions that I ask y'all on Twitter, on Instagram, all of that. Thank you so much, my sisters, for being here.
Yes, anytime.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be back.
They all will be back. They always come back. So thank y'all for listening. Feel free to comment, share with your parents too. Like, have a discussion. Like,
I ain't sharing this with my parents.
Make sure y'all don't bash y'all parents. Just be a better, you know, you when the time comes. And be safe. I love you guys. Bye.
Bye.